Are you ready?
Yeah.
Hello,
Am I
everyone.
starting or you? You are.
Welcome to Twins Talk Tech. Oh, Brent's pointing. What's the matter?
Nothing. I was talking over you, but I guess our delay is big enough that you didn't notice.
I did not get it. Okay. Well, anyways, this is Bryce. That's Brent. And this is, I mentioned Twins Talk Tech, probably episode 65. We clearly don't have anything go. Oh, 66. Two seconds ago, I said 66. And then I said 65. I just like 65 better. I like round numbers by fives. Even numbers are for the birds. Unless it's a
That's why
zero.
he's not a math teacher.
Anyways, for the one person who watched the last video, thank you. I do think that's Brent. So thank you, Brent, for watching that.
You're welcome. Glad I did.
I don't know if Brent put any metadata in or any description.
No.
Which could be why.
This Brent, nor any person named Brent, put that in, correct?
What?
I said this Brent, nor any person named Brent, put that information in.
Right. Which, by the way, besides recording this, is really his only job at this point.
That's
and he doesn't do it. This was his idea. This was his passion, as much as passion he can have. And here we are.
A little strong.
Him not putting any effort forward besides securing a conference room, looking creepy. Probably, is there a window in the room? Do people watch you? Is there like an audience out there?
Tiny sliver of a window, but I put a piece of paper that says occupied, probably spelled correctly, hopefully. And that's the effort that I go through.
Should have said recording in progress, because that would make the room seem even creepier.
A big red light out there that says recording in progress.
Anyways, as you can see, I'm handheld today because I forgot to set some stuff up. What are you going to do? This is Twins Talk Tech. It's interesting. I've been watching. I don't know if it's called a podcast or just a channel, video channel on the YouTubes, and it's called The Modern Rogue. They're interesting characters. They've been around individually with other projects for quite a while, and even with this project for at least a couple of years. But it's not really a motto of theirs, but it seems as if it is. You know, it's things don't necessarily work 100% the way they maybe could have. Some of it maybe is for lack of preparation. Some of it is just because of, whatever lack of skill, and that's really the humor in it. I don't know, but anyways, I'm starting to see a correlation between our channel and theirs in that regard. This always seems to be a mild disaster, way more difficult setting up and getting things ready than it should be. But at the same time, we're not spending hundreds or thousands of dollars dropping money on the equipment to get it going so that we can just come in, sit down, boom, be done. We're limping along with the stuff that we have. And I think it's been working so far. Mentioning stuff that we have, we've been talking about this, teasing it, if you will, for a few months now. The Borescope. If you hear tapping, that's the mic cable tapping the tripod leg, because we're all about quality. Anyways, the Borescope is basically a camera that you can burrow, not sure if that's why it's called that, into things or through things that are some distance away you normally couldn't reach, to be able to see them. It's a camera, right? So here's the camera for me. It's fairly small compared to my finger. If I use my pinky, which I can't because I'm holding it with one hand on the microphone, compared to that, there's a threaded tip on it. There's LED lights inside to light up what you're doing. And then in this case, it's really long, this cable.
You said there's a threaded tip on it?
Yeah, around the end here, because I can put a hook on the end of it.
Oh, yeah.
I can put a magnetic tip on the end of it, and a couple other things that I don't remember now. They came on a little bottle. Yeah, I don't remember what they are now. And if I would have done any research, then I would have found the box, which is probably thrown away by now. But normally there's either some sort of video side to it, like an RCA connector, or even a USB connector. In my case, I've got this box. Sometimes even the box has a LCD panel on it, so you're viewing it there. As a matter of fact, Oh, that feels flimsy. As a matter of fact, if you work on cars as a mechanic, maybe even HVAC technician, HVAC, heating and air conditioning, you'll probably have a more expensive one that does have the screen on it because it's nice to have the all-in-one unit. So this one is Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi has a faster signal and you connect directly to it, just like my iPad does my camera. Most new cameras have that Wi-Fi feature. So it's the same thing. This has just a small access point built into it. You connect to it. You use a terribly archaic application that's not even meant for it. It's almost like they had to write something in here to communicate with the software. But the benefit is then now you get this tiny little camera. I dropped the wrong end, dog nabbit. This tiny little camera now can be shoved into things to see what's in it. Maybe you lost a ring, right? So you're going down a sink. In my case, I used it to drill a hole underneath the house up into the floorboard area because I was trying to run a cable, and for the life of me, I couldn't get it. And from the top down, it looked like there was plenty of room. What's going on? So it turns out there was an extra piece of wood. That'll do it every time. So I was able to drill through that and then run the camera up again. I got more space. I even left the camera there, which helped me to then maneuver the wiring. Boom. Next thing you know, we were able to hook everything up. We're good. And we have this room I'm in now. It's our spare bedroom, but Brent's got the finger up. What's up?
Yeah, I didn't know if you could tell from the distance here. When you connected it via Wi-Fi, you said, I'm just curious, because it adds a one additional layer that's better than the one that I've shown a few times to the screen over here. This one connects USB-C, or you could use an adapter and be USB-A, but I have a serious shadow when I do this. With yours being Wi-Fi, if you ran a hole or drilled a hole and put it through the hole, you could technically have that camera on the underneath your home, and then you'd be on the inside and still be able to look. Is that what you basically did? Or does that make any sense what I said?
It makes sense, but no, that's not what I did. Not in this case, at least. I was underneath the house and my father-in-law was up inside the house and we were communicating via walkie-talkie. Okay. And so that's how he had my iPad in his hand looking at the video feed, telling me left, right, so that was definitely a slightly cumbersome process. But in this specific case, that's how we did it. But again, this is our spare bedroom. We have a little, being a manufactured home, the AC vents and whatnot are on the ground, on the floor. And it doesn't get a ton of airflow in here. We think there's just too many 90-degree angles. And by the time it gets to this corner, it's like the last spot. And so it's out of air by the time it gets here. That's our guess. But I wanted to make sure that nothing was in the system, nothing was clogged. So I was able to use this guy. I put it in the vent inside here and I ran it pretty much as far as it'll go. It's about 6 to 10 feet, the camera cable length. It does get a bit unwieldy at that point because you have to turn like 9 rotations, flipping the cable for the tip to finally actually flip. So if you're trying to go around a corner, it gets a bit of a pain. But I was able to actually record the screen as I was doing it and watch it back later to make sure, I had Ruth and I were looking at it. Okay, do you see anything? I don't see anything. And unfortunately, in this case, it turns out the pathway is as clear as we can see it, at least. We couldn't quite get to the next room to see if, was something blocking between here and there. But wherever we were able to go, there's plenty of room there. So it's come in handy a few times. I've lost it, I'd say, more times than I've used it because it is kind of small and it's all black. So, of course, it fits in everything. Everything's a shadow. So, but it is coming handy. And I know you have one. You use yours as well. Oh, he's got the finger up again.
Finger is up again. In doing what you did, I've not done this, but I have heard of some that have done this because these things have limited reach. Just like you said, as yours is so long. This one is supposed to be, it's not marked on, no, yes it is, 5 meters. So what is that, about 15 feet approximately? So either way, same difference. The
cord on the cable thing is 15 feet?
It's a long fella. So,
Wow.
and obviously, like you said, the turning and so on, at a certain point, it's not super rigid. So if it hits really any obstruction, once you get past 5 to 10 feet especially, it's going to be hard to push. But one of those small RC cars, the little cheap ones, but they have those bad cameras on the tip. I know some folks that have set those in there, and you can, the same thing, connect Wi-Fi to the camera, record it as you drive that little fella through there. As opposed
If I was going to do
so
that, my GoPro has Wi-Fi connectivity. I might as well just mount the GoPro on it. And
but that would work. So same idea, and a better quality video at that. So the same idea. That's what you would do. For mine, I've used it basically to work on my car because with my wife's job, she frequently needs to replace the brakes. So I typically have to replace the brakes. And so I want to be able to see the inside of that pad or the inside of the rotor. It served me well looking in there to see if that pad needs to be replaced, or if I need to look a little bit deeper. I have a Camry, and I've had to look a little bit lower sometimes. Is this not rotor, where the belts are connected to? My brain is not functioning right now. But either way, is it turning? And some of them I can see at the top, some I can't. So those are the applications that I've used it. I did not have it when I was running wires for the various applications in the house that I ran wires for. That would have been handy, because like you, I did come across some, typical like fire breaks. You didn't come across a fire break necessarily, but halfway in a wall, it's not uncommon to have a fire break there. But a lot of walls in our home are especially old and don't have fire breaks, so I never know if one's there or not. So this would come in handy in that case. Back in the day, I would shove my little iPhone 4 in there with the flashlight on and take videos, just kind of stick it in there and turn it a little bit. And you can only see so far up the wall at that point, but same idea, but these are better. And these do have, I assume yours does as well, a flashlight on the tip of it.
There's a ring of LEDs at the very tip.
Yeah.
And now yours, as a side point, yours has, more of a continuation, I guess. Your depth of field and focusing distance is fairly close to the lens, correct?
Correct. It's about between 2 to 4 inches is what it says, yeah.
Yeah, so, and that's why I purposely got one that's, the sweet spot is about 12 to 24 inches. And then it tapers off from there, but I can go about 16 feet. Like if I'm pointing it at you right now, and then I'm looking at the video footage on the iPad, I could tell that I'm looking at an iPhone with a picture of a person on it. You'd be blurry, but I could tell. And then I get it roughly again, 12, 18, 24 inches. Then it starts to get more focused. And that's what I wanted, because I was putting it in the walls. I didn't want to have to keep shoving and get, within 2 or 4 inches before seeing specifically what I wanted. I wanted to be able to get kind of the whole cavity, if you will, to see, all right, I need to head to the right at this point instead of pushing. Okay, now there's the wall. Let me back it up a little bit. Okay, go to the right, go to the left. That would have just been too annoying. And that is what's nice about some of these. Not all of them, but some of them do have that depth. I saw one that said something that was like 100 and something feet. Why would you need that far of a die? That's a normal camera. But, and I don't know the quality. They say this one's 1080p. The reality is it's probably closer to a really bad 720. It was detailed enough to see what I wanted to do. So then that's why I bought it. A friend of mine borrowed it. I don't think he actually ended up using it. He dropped something in his engine bay. It's a car he's working on, not normally driving. So he was going to try to look for it, but I think he ended up just fishing a magnet down there and was able to pick up the item. But it has many uses. One use is to not have to put your phone facing down with video or photo mode. My brother-in-law was putting a new wall. A contractor came over to help do it. Contractor held his phone up to do what you just mentioned, bloop, dropped his phone down inside the thing. And fortunately, after a couple hours of kind of messing around with the whole scenario, was able to fish it out. But that's a couple hour delay when, so this is good. You could just kind of drop it down, see what it is. And it definitely does work better going down because of the gravity being so long. There's a Good Mythical Morning is a channel on YouTube that's fairly popular. My kids enjoy it. I enjoy it for about an episode or two, and then I've got to have a break because they're a bit much. But they did one where they were using this borescope to kind of go into the cavity of whatever, right? It was the cavity of a fish head, the cavity of like the gills, into the carcass of a roasted turkey, and probably other things, but those are the gross ones that stuck out in my mind. But they ended up having, I don't know if it was a flattened out hanger or something else, a dowel maybe, but something to stiffen the very end so they can have that manual control of it instead of it being this flexible cable. Because this whole thing is flexible and it supposedly stays where it's at. But again, if you're actually trying to go around a corner, it's not stiff enough to do that. It's kind of a pain. So,
Yeah.
so you got to know that
Those
going into it.
expensive
This one was
ones.
only $35. So I can't complain on the price. It still works. Even if it stops working at this point, I think I've gotten the money out of it for what it's, the time it saved me in actually doing what I do with it. So it's a good thing. I recommend getting one. If you need the one with the handheld screen, do it. Those cost about $100 or more because you're also paying for a screen. Almost all of us have these devices nowadays that we can just simply hook up our phone or tablets and be done with it. Especially if you have an iPad Pro or a regular size iPad. That's a really good size screen. So you can see the detail pretty good. So Borescope.
If you need to control it,
What's that?
if you need to control it, you can spend some real money, upwards of $1,000 to $1,500, and you have a little knob that gives you the ability to turn it and kind of steer it where you're going.
Yeah.
That's getting into some pretty serious cash, way beyond the
Or
need
credit.
that I have.
Well, if that's your job, you know, I mean, I didn't know these
A
things
plumber
existed
could
a few years
certainly
ago,
use
but they've
that,
existed for some time. So, but if that's your job, if that's what you're getting paid for, maybe the investment will be totally worth it for you. In my case, yeah, I don't need to remote control it.
Spy.
So,
Right.
anything new on your end?
No, can't say that there is.
Okay.
Not right now,
Well,
anyway.
as usual, good to hear. So, it's always a long topic. So I have the Rodecaster. We did a mini review-esque of that one. I'd like to learn more about it, especially the new 2.0 version of the software. It's a great little device. Still kind of, sort of, can't recommend it, at least for us, because of the price tag. Has a lot of great features, but $600. It's a bit steep. But we did also just get in another pricey product, the Roland VR1 HD, VR-1 HD, and it's meant for podcasters as well. We're not using it for this. We got it for work, but it's a video switcher. Video transitions are built in. Small little audio deck, 2 XLR inputs. Look it up. It's a great little product. There's also a ton of videos on YouTube. That's one of the reasons why I don't personally go too terribly in depth on a lot of these, because there's already some high quality things on YouTube about a lot of these products. So why say the same thing? Because for the most part they are. If I'm going to bring something to Brent or to you, the Twins Talk Tech audience, it's going to be something that I personally see different that hasn't been mentioned, or maybe has been mentioned, but I feel needs to be kind of one-upped, mentioned again, or whatever. One-upped wasn't a good phrase. I don't care about one-upping anybody, but clarifying something or being specific to how I can use it or whatever workflow that I have, then I'll mention it. And so if you want to learn more about the VR1 HD, look it up. Do a little Google search, go to the website. They've got a decent amount of information, but do a YouTube search. Plenty of videos of guys using it, whether it's in houses of worship, whether it's in just a video production. There's a couple of them are people who work for video production companies using them for various things. We're going to try to attempt to use it for live streaming stuff at work. And if we do, then I'll mention some of that and how it's benefited us, or maybe how it's been a pain. Because sometimes you introduce some new fancy stuff and it actually causes problems. So we'll see. We'll see how that is. Nothing new, no hardware, no new phones, no nothing else fancy on your side over there?
Nope, not currently.
Did you ever install the new radio in your Jeep?
Oh yeah, that's been in basically since when we bought it. Correct.
Oh,
yeah,
good. Okay, so you did mention you were going to do either a review or some sort of thing, because it has CarPlay, right?
Yes, and now that the new CarPlay's out, it might be a good time to actually do that, because most CarPlay before was serviceable, but it wasn't amazing. Now I can't really say it's amazing, but it's a lot better. So maybe I'll toss together.
Does
a
yours
video
support wireless CarPlay?
about that? No, your phone has to support that, and then the new has to have that new Bluetooth something or other 5 or whatever. to do
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Your
Mine
phone
does not.
supports it. Mine does too. It's the 8 Plus. Some of these older ones actually support it, but it's more of the head unit has to support it as well. My new
Right.
car, the Chevy Colorado, the 2019, it has CarPlay, but it's only corded. And it's like, well, I actually get more use out of the Bluetooth at this point because I just get in the car and it works. But the CarPlay, I got to plug it in. Well, the nature of batteries, you only get so many actual charges, right? So every time you plug it in, it starts charging. If there was a cable that
Right.
was strictly data, no charging, then maybe, well, would CarPlay even work? Maybe that's one thing it needs is to recognize there's a charge. So many things. I like the idea of it, but again, my drive is 7 miles to work and 7 miles home. To plug it in for that short of a distance it's actually doing more damage to the phone in the long run than it is helping. So I don't use CarPlay that much. I really wish I could because I like the idea of it. I like having things up on screen. And it actually does a pretty good job, by the way, of transcoding my voice. My what? My voice.
I don't have any Voces.
Whereas the Bluetooth side of things, because now the car is trying to communicate, the car system that's there is trying to communicate with the phone, and they never jive, right? Yep. Use the word jive. And so that's a pain. But I can send and receive messages really good when the CarPlay is plugged in. But I don't know. So I might mention it. If you have anything that you really like about it that's kind of out of the ordinary, then, mention it to me. I might learn something, but also, mention it on the podcast. If we ever do a podcast from your car, maybe there could be something that you do during the episode there. All right, well, that's it. We've rambled on long enough, 20 minutes or so, which is our normal. Long time to say nothing. You're welcome. Get a Borescope if you feel you might need one. They're inexpensive. Don't spend $1,000. They're not worth it. Get the $30 one so that if it breaks, you're not going to be out a bunch of money. It'll just be $30 or the equivalent of what you paid. If you only paid $23, you wouldn't be out $30. That'd be weird. Maybe shipping. Anyways, thanks for watching. Brent, are you sure? Nothing else?
Yes, sir. I'm fairly certain at this point.
I'm trying, folks, to get him to talk more. I think he gets about 2 minutes out of every episode. And
Well-deserved 2 minutes. Yes, I work hard for that 2 minutes. That's right. Bye.